Hello, welcome to the Reasonably Effective podcast brought to by myself, Uncommon Fossil, and 10 Types.
Yep. Hello, everyone. And today we're talking about some of the best Pokemon in the game. In fact, we are talking about the best Pokemon in the game.
Yes.
We each have top 10 lists of the best Pokemon, not Pokemon cards. So this isn't like trainers or energies. Um, I think we did say Snorlax doll. You can include that, though, which I assume it's on your list.
The Black Snorlax is what you're
No,
saying?
the doll. Snorlax
Oh, the
doll.
doll. Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Well, then we can include the fossils as well, right? Which will be on your list.
That's true. That's true.
Okay.
But anyway, so those aren't on the list. They're not good. But
No.
we have our list. We each have a top 10. We're gonna try to make a top 10 collectively. We also have some data from the website Played Out Limitless, which has a ton of tournament data. I went through, wrote a quick little program that was definitely optimized, definitely not just some random junk I threw together. And so we have the most played cards, and then we also have the cards with the highest win rate, or what should be the best cards. So we're gonna talk about those later and
Right.
try to make a collectively make a list that we think is the best cards. But you want to start with your top 10 cards?
Yeah, I will give mine. We're going to end up with a definitive top 10 list at the end. And probably this is the definitive one, obviously, we're started off with. So,
Yeah, of course.
so number 1, Radiant Greninja. Number 2, Manaphy. Number 3, Iron Hands EX. I'm not making any comments now, just running through the list. Number 4, Lumineon V. In 5th place, Fluttermane. 6, Blood Moon Ursaluna EX. 7th, Iron Bundle. 8, Dragapult EX. 9, Teal Mask Ogerpon EX. And in 10, Rotom V.
Okay, so I'll read through my list now, and I have number 1 Charizard EX, number 2. Oh, sorry, Charizard EX, the Darkness one. There are 2. Number 2, Blood Moon Ursaluna EX. Number 3, Pidgeot EX. Number 4, Gardevoir EX. Number 5, Radiant Greninja. Number 6, Snorlax, the block one.
Yep.
Number 7, Squawkabilly EX. Number 8, Giratina V-Star. Number 9, Iron Hands EX. And number 10, Dragapult EX. And in making this video, I said when we were talking, I said I misspelled one of this Pokemon, and that was Blood Moon Ursaluna EX. I always think it's Blood Moon's two words, but it's one
right?
word.
Yeah. I've learned that mistake. I think I generally get it right now, but yes.
Yeah, I always get it wrong. But
and we're also talking about
learning.
And we're also talking about how to spell Squawkabilly before we start, because that's kind of an odd one too.
Yeah, Squawkabilly is a pretty weird card. So anything you want to talk about my list first, or should we talk about yours first?
Why don't I share some thoughts on my list first? Because I got some things I can say, and I don't know if how much you want to dive into what, but I'll give a few thoughts. There's some Pokemon on this list that surprised me that I probably wasn't going to put on my top 10 list when I kind of did it by hand. I looked at some of the data, and that changed some things, some being a surprise, and shifted some things around. Look, I thought Radiant Greninja going in was probably my number 1 card. It still is. It's on your list, but down at 5. I would think it probably ultimately will somewhere be between 1 and 5. I don't think it'll go lower than 5 on the final list. It's played the most by a lot. So I know
not exactly.
It's played in the most decks by a lot. It's played in 45% of the decks in on online tournaments. We'll get to the data later, but it's a lot. And then also the Manaphy is played in the number 2 decks significantly. There's a big gap between Radiant Greninja and Manaphy, and then a big drop off from Manaphy to the next one. Manaphy to me is a little questionable whether it goes in 2, but I kind of felt it was a top 10 card, and it's just played a lot. So I think to me it deserves that number 2 spot. Do you want to comment? Or do you want me to keep talking?
Yeah. So there's a few things. I'll talk about Manaphy first. You don't like Manaphy. You like always cut Manaphy from your decks.
That's true. Now, okay. Now, so what are the criteria here is very tricky, right?
I feel like if you don't like the card, then it shouldn't be like just the second what you think the second best card. I mean, there's some you're trying. It's like you're trying to be objective, and I get that, but you don't like the card. I mean, you play it sometimes, but I play it more, and it's good, but it's also just a counter card. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah. Okay. So here's some of the criteria that are the criteria in my mind. So let's talk about this a minute. Like number of decks that it's played in, the more decks, the better the card, generally speaking. I think you would agree
Yeah.
with that. More copies played, it makes it better as well. So Radiant Greninja, at most you can only have one copy. So there'll be cards that, even though Radiant Greninja's in a lot of decks, there's cards that have more copies on average because you can only
Yeah.
because you can play four of most other Pokemon. So, but that's a factor too. Manaphy's still basically a one of index too when you look at the data. So, but it's still a lot of decks. Now I do think attacking Pokemon or Pokemon that are focus of a deck probably are a benefit. Certainly, attacking cards are better than support cards to me. But
Yeah. Yeah.
and obviously these aren't that. Well, Radiant Greninja can be Manaphy is not an attacking Pokemon. It does do 20 for one water. I mean, but
Yeah. I almost got like I have a story to share later, but I almost lost to Manaphy. I almost got like 8-shotted by Manaphy. But that didn't happen. So
yeah, I mean the old Mew with the bench barrier, whatever it was called. I think it was a bench barrier.
yeah.
That had a better attack. The attack on that wasn't great, but it was a lot better than Manaphy. But that's not
Yeah.
where we're at now. And then cards that are more universal are big. So that's why Radiant Greninja and Manaphy are very universal. Some of the Pokemon,
Yeah. So you said you said it was the cards played in decks, many decks is so that's like the deck it's played in is played a lot. Like say uh Dragapult EX is played a lot. Or like
well, Dragapult
are you
EX
saying it'll
is played some. It's played a couple decks, but not a ton of decks, right?
yeah.
When you
But
said,
those decks are played a bunch as well.
I mean deck diversity more so. Sorry, so that's a good point, right? So
Okay.
more different decks, right? Like Gardevoir EX is played in a lot of quote. It's played a lot, but it's really only in one deck, right?
Yeah.
Gardevoir EX, but there's a lot of it. It's very good. So it'll be an interesting argument when we get there, right? Whereas Manaphy is just in a lot of different decks. So I think diversity, flexibility to me is a big thing. Now, some cards that you put on your lists are very flexible that I didn't include, and so I wasn't always consistent. These criteria are they conflict with each other, I think, a lot, and how to, it's not easy to come up with a rational judgment, is what I'll say. I was also looking at kind of competitive play. Either I looked at some IRL stuff too, more than you did initially, and even the limitless data is online tournaments, which you got. But again, that's within a competitive environment, so it's different than playing on the ladder. I don't really do competitive. I do on the ladder, and a lot of decks that need Manaphy to compete in, I'll just cut it from my ladder deck and just say, hey, I'll scoop to it if they can hit my bench, because most decks can't do that still.
Yeah, but and that's what also something I'm saying like most decks don't hit the bench. Or bench with that Manaphy can block, right? Dragon EX is on your list here. Manaphy doesn't stop it.
Right.
Stops damage done to bench Pokemon. Dragon EX places damage counters. It's a little
Mm-hmm.
different. And you're gonna make a video on that soon, right? Or have you made it already?
I've made the video. No, I haven't made that video yet. So no, but I'll be talking damage versus damage counters, doing damage versus placing damage counters at some point. And yeah, and obviously for Dragapult we have Rabska is the only one really. I don't know. Maybe there's something else. That's the main way to
Well, there's
stop
Mist
it.
Energy as well.
That's true, Mist Energy, but that's not a Pokemon. So that's.
Yeah.
But yes, Mist Energy, which is important for my Dojo decks now because of that dreaded Dragapult.
Yep.
Um,
And so I think Radiant Greninja. A few points to say about this.
yeah.
It is very good. It was on my list, but it
Mm-hmm.
is better than all the other cards. But it's supposed to be because it's a special mechanic. So like the mechanic means it's like saying Master Ball. Master Ball is better than Ultra Ball, right? It's just
Mm-hmm.
directly better essentially. But Ultra Ball's really it's a better card, right? Because so there's it's a bad thing being an ace spec. So you get some benefit, but then it's like a
Mm-hmm.
downside. And Radiant Greninja is a Radiant, so
Yes.
now it's held to a higher standard, and so that's why it's not at the top of the list. It is arguably the best card in the game, just based on what it does, but it is
Mm-hmm.
a Radiant, so that's a tax to it in my mind.
No, I would agree that is a negative. And I do downgrade it some for that. I do think the attack's pretty good though too, right? For
It
not
is.
all
It
decks
is.
can do it, but the decks that can, it's a very good attack in Lost Zone decks, in Dax Caliber decks, and such. So so that's a big plus. It's a great engine card. Probably the best just one card engine in the game, maybe.
Maybe there's a few others we need to talk about. So
Okay. Now
I,
Manaphy, I think that one's more. I may have that too high. When I did put to get my just initial thoughts down of top cards, Manaphy was probably like the sixth card or something that came to my mind when I just writing cards down randomly. So I did think highly of Manaphy coming into this.
yeah, I mean, Manphy's like solid. It sees a lot of play. I feel like it sees more play than it needs, and it doesn't do anything. Like it just doesn't do anything, which it makes it seem less appealing in my mind.
No, well, it's there because you just look, you just grinded your way to Arceus within like 5 hours of ladder resetting. You played Snorlax. It's there so that Snorlax players like you win games. That's why Manaphy's
Yeah,
in decks, right?
I know. No, yeah, Manaphy is like okay. I don't know. Maybe I just don't play the decks that it counters, but I don't think it's. I mean, I don't think it's bad. It was pretty close to my list, but
Okay.
it's really underwhelming compared to the other cards on this list. But then I have a few other questions. One, Iron Bundle, the third water Pokemon. No, wait, what? Fourth water Pokemon on your list. You don't play Iron Bundle, do you?
I really don't. That one was not. That one's a surprise. That was one of the two surprises on the list that I wasn't thinking of. But when
But it's
looking at
your list.
Well, but looking at the data, when I was just kind of making up, first you just sit down. I just sat down with a piece of paper and wrote down, a dozen cards or 15 cards. And then I started looking at IRL tournaments. That's kind of what I did, is looking at IRL tournaments first, because it's kind of easy to find the data on there. The online tournament stuff, you actually have access to the database, which you
Yeah,
can
which you can get.
search.
You can just like apply, and then you can get into that. But
Yes, you have to.
so it's not like what
It's
were you saying?
not the data that's just available on the Limitless website. You
Well,
ask.
it is the data, but you can sort through it. It allows you to like create
Mhm.
programs to sort through it faster.
You can export
But
the
the data,
data, which
yeah,
look, it's nothing super special. You just ask them for that permission and they gave it to you. So it's not,
yeah,
and that's what it is. But just without that data, you can't just look at the website and sort and get the exact data that you have though. That's all I want to
yeah,
say. The
yeah.
IRL stuff is kind of, you can click on a card. When you click on the cards in Limitless, then you can look at the deck that's played, but you can only do that for IRL play, not for online play, which is why I looked at
Yeah.
IRL play first. So it was really important in a lot of IRL decks. Why do I have it? Look, it wasn't on my list. It's got the hyper blow ability. If it's on the bench, you can have your opponent switch out their active for one of their bench, right? And then it gets discarded, the Iron Bundle, right?
Yeah. And it is
And
search. It is a future Pokemon, so it's searchable with Techno Radar, which
right.
which is nice, and it has an attack that is usable. It doesn't really matter too much, but it's not like that bad. It's underwhelming, but usable in Lost Zone and Max Caliber. So
Right. It's in a number of decks. It's played a surprising amount of times, even in your data for the online tournaments. It's played a lot more than I ever expected. It's basically a one of when you see how many decks it has versus how many copies are on average. It's basically one per deck that plays it. But it's in Lost Zone a lot. It's in, which I didn't wasn't it's in Maridon, which is becoming more of a deck again. You didn't
yeah,
mention
I don't think Rhino's very good. I think it's kind of bad,
it's
but
seeing play though. It's coming back. I don't it's out there. It's a legit deck. I think.
yeah,
Ha-
I played as you said, I grind to the ladder. I grind the ladder because the ladder reset yesterday at the time of recording.
yep.
Was it yesterday?
Yes, it was. Yep,
It-
it was yesterday.
okay. Um, and so I wanted to grind to Arceus, and I did, and it was shockingly easy. In the past, I did done it, and it was like super annoying and like infuriating. But this time was really easy. We'll talk about that. But man, I guess I got a little secret, which was play Snorlax. But Miraidon, every time I saw Miraidon, and even before, I'm like, okay, I'm really happy I'm not against like Raging Bolt now, because Raging Bolt could knock me out. But Miraidon, this was with any like Miraidon, just I don't think it's that good. But anyway, Miraidon's not on either of our list. You got Iron Hands on your list. Wait, do I have it on my list? I um
I
I
think.
do near the bottom. But
Yeah.
um and
Look, I
then
mean, Iron Bundle. It's also in Chen Pao, Future Hands. It's in 21% of the decks, which is really surprising to me.
yeah.
But let me just say the other card that I wasn't thinking would be on my list that surprised me is Fluttermane, which I don't think you have on yours either. Correct?
No. Why is Fluttermane on your list? I'm confused about that one.
Okay, which is and again that Fluttermane. So Fluttermane, which it has, it's an ancient Pokemon, so it's obviously an ancient box, but it's got an ability that gives it versatility that goes in more decks than I thought. Right?
Yeah,
Because
where it
the
shuts down your opponent's active's ability, which is
abilities.
nice. And then you can attack. You have an attack for colorless, which is 90 for 3 colorless, and then 2 damage guys on your opponent's bench in any way you like. So it's good again. It's good against
Right.
Lost Zone. It's played
Hmm.
in Gardevoir, and then it's played in Ancient Box. But like, it's not the main focus in any of those decks. It's not like bad,
No.
but it's so far behind the main attacks in those decks. So why is it on your
Well,
list?
first, isn't 22% of the decks that were played. That's to me shocking. I got to say first off. Okay. Second,
That is.
the attack is pretty good. It's you mentioned Gardevoir, which it's psychic, so that's a natural, right? It's in ancient box decks because that's a natural there. But then it's also played pretty commonly in Raging Bolt decks. That's a bit of a surprise. And it's played a lot in
Oh
Lugia
yeah.
deck, and it's played in Lugia decks.
Oh yeah. It's played in
So
Lugia.
it's
Okay.
pretty versatile, and then also in terms of plays per deck, it's because particularly because the ancient box plays 4 copies, the number of copies played is pretty high too. So it's number of
Yeah.
decks, it's pretty good, and number of copies played in decks is also pretty good. So it's very solid in both those things. And like I said, it's got versatility, more versatility than I expected as well.
Yeah, but it's not that good. Like I mean, it's okay, but it's not like it's the main attacker in Gardevoir. It's just like a tech option, but it's not the strongest tech option. I don't know. Okay, we'll talk about that later. So any comments you have on my list? Or actually, no, I'll say a few things
Yeah.
about my list real quick. So I have a lot of stage twos. I had Charizard EX,
Yes.
Pidgeot EX, Gardevoir EX, and Dragapult EX, and they're all stage two EXs. You said so. You said that you don't think Gardevoir EX should be on this list.
I don't. Now, I think in terms of plays and all, it's probably sees a decent amount of plays out there.
Yes.
And obviously, Gardevoir is a very good deck. Well,
Yes.
the last major tournament was NEIC as the time recording. Gardevoir, while it didn't
IRL.
IRL, sorry, and it dominated. It didn't win, but decks 2 through 7, right, were all Gardevoir, and there were a lot of others. So it was a phenomenal performance by Gardevoir. So Gardevoir seeing just a big uptick in play right now. I gotta assume online too.
Yeah, yeah.
But let me take a look at my Gardevoir thing. So because I was it was on my list to look at. First, the amount of decks it's played in isn't that high
Well, yeah, but it's fine.
because
But
it's one deck.
it's fine.
So the issue
But
with
that's like saying
Gardevoir,
attackers aren't good, which isn't
look,
true,
well,
obviously.
I like versatility. Gardevoir has like zero versatility to me. It's played in one deck. That's Gardevoir, and that's it.
Well, yeah, but
And
that's fine.
it's a very good deck, and it has some flexibility because it's a bit of a box style deck with some different attacking options. But to me, it's a one deck card, so it just doesn't make the list. Some of the other stage twos, Charizard, Dragapult, they're more stronger considerations because they can go in multiple things. Gardevoir is
But
just
Charizard's only on the list because you can break up Charizard into different decks, right?
well,
Like,
Charizard I didn't put on my list. I did put Dragapult,
oh,
right?
okay. Well, but Dragapult's really in one deck. It's in Regidrago. It is important
It's
for Regidrago, but it's not like, um, I know. I mean, Gardevoir's better than Dragapult. It's just, I think,
well, maybe. I mean,
Gardevoir is so good. It literally accelerates all your energy. Um, And this is another thing. It
mhm,
evolves from it has a great evolution line, which helps it. Um,
yes. Well,
so Curlia, really good.
I mean,
That was close to
Curly
being
almost
good.
made my list at one point. I decided not because again, it really is just in one deck. There was a time in the past when I would have put Curly on the list when there were non-Gardevoir decks using the Curly engine, but the Curly engine's just really fallen off, right? Almost nobody else plays it. So
But that's like saying Mew VMAX is bad because Mew VMAX is like, I don't know, like, right? You wouldn't say Mew VMAX is a bad. Like, oh, well, obviously now it's just not standard, but when it was in
no, I
standard,
get
it
it.
was really good. But it was only played in its one deck, obviously, because you did its own deck. But
Yeah,
it wasn't like that would be good, right? Like, so I feel like that
yeah,
doesn't make like you need to be able to include some Pokemon that are only played in one deck, and like,
maybe.
um,
Um, I look. I just it's very look. We'll have to consider it later. It's super narrow. You can't argue with that. point.
Well, I don't know. What do you mean super? It's not like
It's
it's
played
only.
in
It's not like it's.
one deck type. That's it.
Well,
Gardevoir
yes, but
EX.
that's
That's it.
true with most cards and most good attackers. So your list doesn't have any
My
super good attackers. I mean, has Dragon Balls pretty good,
it
and Iron Hands
it
is good, but it's
has
a little
it
different.
has tech attackers. My list. It might. You're right. Mine is a more support focused list, and that's something we got to wrestle with. I don't really like Gardevoir on the list though. I think look, you put Charizard one. I left Charizard off. What can we move? Let's move to Charizard because we'll have to fight about Gardevoir. I think we just disagree on it.
Yeah, I don't think it has to make it, but I think it's anyway. Charizard. So why don't you think? Wait, so why isn't Charizard on your list?
So Charizard's
Or is
very
it just because
good.
it's only in one deck?
It's yeah. Look,
It's like
it
super
was
good. It's raw
close.
stats, best raw stats attacker in the game, arguably, or Giratina V-Star. Those are both two really good raw stats attackers.
So
Yeah, so
okay.
that's why.
So here's the issue with. I'm going to talk about the stats for a minute, if that's okay. I won't get the
Yeah.
numbers, but Dragon Ball's played in 16% of the decks. Charizard's played in 10% of the decks, so that's a meaningful difference. Okay, that's why Dragapult is above.
Okay.
I think it's meaningful. And then in terms of copies, Dragapult has a lot more copies in the decks also, as well as over Charizard.
Yeah.
0.35 copies versus 0.25 copies. So therefore, that's why I moved up Dragapult. Although personally, I like Charizard better. So
But this is your personal list.
well, I'm not. No, it's not my top. It's not my top 10 list. It's the top 10 cards to play in general. So it's most of these cards are played by most of the time. Decks are being played by not me. I'll be honest about that.
Yeah.
So therefore, it's what people in general should be playing. That's how I approached it. You can argue
Okay.
with that.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's what
Now
we're aiming for.
Charizard is
So,
actually more universal than Dragapult. Now part of it is look, Dragapult's really strong right now. It's
Yeah.
new and it's the hot thing. Charizard's fallen off probably more than it should, but look, Charizard's in Charizard. It's in Dragapult decks. There's a Dragapult build, and control decks will play Charizard too. So
yeah, but it's mostly just in Charizard. That's kind of weird. It gets into territory of like, are those decks like fully different? But I mean, it's
Yeah.
just because it's only good. It's arguably it's probably not the best deck. It probably shouldn't be one, but I think Charizard's a really good Pokemon.
Well, see, I think Charizard, because the Infernal Rain ability with the energy acceleration, it is flexible. You know, I mean, I have built Charizard box decks because you can pair it with any colorless
Those
attackers
aren't
too.
very good. They're like just.
No, I get it, but look,
You shouldn't give that like.
it's
say
in the
that
line
means
of the
it's better
control.
than Gardevoir.
It's in the line of the control decks. You know, there are very good control
Yeah.
players that play control decks with
You can
Charizard.
play
Partly
Gardevoir EX control.
you can, but Charizard, besides attacking itself, can power up other attackers too. That's part
Yeah.
of its thing. Whereas Gardevoir only powers up Psychic. Charizard can power up colorless attackers too, which is a plus.
Yeah, I mean you can do shenanigans. You can Thornton or whatever. But anyway, so Charizard EX whatever. So now let's talk about the official. Is there anything else we need to talk about with these lists?
No. Well, look, you put Snorlax on the list. Do you want to talk about that now or later?
No, wait, we're saving that for later.
Okay.
So we got the most. So I have two most played categories. Said this is the data from the online tournaments. It's pretty similar to the in-person tournaments and very similar to the latter. So we have two categories that we have: unweighted and weighted. Unweighted means that it doesn't matter how many copies you play. So obviously that would give an edge to Pokemon that are played in lower counts but in wider decks like Radiant Greninja.
Yep.
And then there's the most played by if they're weighted. So that means if a card's played in as like a 4 then that's going to be like pushed more up. So Pokemon like Comfy, right? Comfy is played as a 4 most of the time, pretty much all the time.
Right.
So.
It's not played in that many decks. Well, I mean, there's a decent amount of Lost Zone decks, but it's in Lost Zone decks. But you toss 4 of it, so it boosts it up for the weighted number a lot. Then.
Yep. So let's talk about the unweighted first.
Yep.
And so I'm just going to run down the list. Number 1, Radiant Greninja. Number 2, Manaphy. Number 3, Blood Moon Ursaluna EX. Number 4, Lumineon V. Number 5, Iron Hands EX. Number 6, Fluttermane. Number 7, Iron Bundle. Number 8, Monkey Dory. Number 9, Rotom V. And number 10, Mew EX. That list looks very similar to your list.
It does. That's the most important criteria to me. It is.
Okay. And then, sorry, do you have something else to add?
No. So I think those are very good Pokemon on that list.
Yeah, well, they're all good Pokemon though. So then
every Pokemon they've ever printed is a good Pokemon, then, right?
True. I mean, I'm a Pokemon fan. It's all good. Yeah. So they are all good Pokemon though.
Yes, they are.
So then we have the weighted category, and
Mm-hmm.
here. Oh, and by the way, I could probably release this data. I mean, I need to like sift through it and some stuff. But so then we have the most played by weight, or with weighted. So we have number one is Curlia. Number
Yeah.
two is Tealmaster Ogerpon EX. Number three is Comfy. Number four is Radiant Greninja, which obviously only a one of, has to be a one of. Number
Mm-hmm.
five is Manaphy. Number six is Raging Bolt EX. Number seven is Dragapult EX. Number eight is Fluttermane. Number nine is Iron Hands EX. And number 10 is Monkey Dory. So we see Monkey Dory making its way into both lists near the tail end, but still on both lists. And that hasn't been on either of our lists. We have
Right.
Raging Bolt EX. We have Comfy. We have um, Mew EX as well. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So look, let me just say a couple things. Monkey Dory to me was my 11th place card. I like
Okay.
I like Monkey Dory a lot. If you follow me with the decks I play, it's a lot of fun. It's largely IRL though. It's a Gardevoir competitively. I think it's a Gardevoir deck card, but
Is it mostly
pretty
good? But
strongly.
it's in
It's
Blissey.
in a few
Blissey's like a
things.
like an all right deck. I think it's like all right.
Yeah.
And Monkey Dory is really like comments in that. And then I played against a Charizard EX deck with Monkey Dory. It didn't go so well for them. It was kind of weird. I was like, why
Hmm.
are they playing Darkness Energy in their Charizard deck? Um, it was very strange. But yeah,
But
it can be played in a number of decks
it
as
it
well.
can
Also, it's
be.
glitched in Pokemon TCG Live, or I think it was.
Oh, the
Um,
retreating, right? Was the issue, I
yeah.
think, with the energy selection. Yeah. Look, I like it. That almost made my list. I don't. Mew is like an honorable mention to me. Mew EX, because I was thinking early when I first made my list. Mew EX was there on my initial thoughts. And it's kind of just off the top 10 to me. And then the barrel didn't make the list. I don't think that was on the cards the top cards played. But that's a very strong card too, to me.
Yeah,
Like,
a Bibarel's like good. I don't like it. Quite frankly, I just don't think it's certainly not a bad card,
mhm.
but it wasn't that close to making it. One card that was really high on the weighted list was Comfy. I feel like Comfy
Yeah.
though isn't that good. I mean, it's not bad. It's good, but it's not like as good as these other Pokemon because it doesn't do much in its own right. Like its drawing power isn't that good. Getting cards in the Lost Zone, I guess it is the main way to do it, but like
Yeah.
the good cards are like Mirage Gate, Pulse Experiment's just a very solid card, and then the attackers are the good cards. So I feel like Comfy's
Right.
not the card.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, Comfy's obviously as important to that as Curly is to Gardevoir, right? They're both kind of similar in terms of how often they appear in decks on the weighted numbers, I think.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But again, yeah, Comfy was too narrow to me, so I didn't make my list. I kind of when I took a look at stuff, I kind of crossed off that it was just too narrow. It's lost
But
zone.
isn't it in like a lot of decks?
There's a well, well, part of it is probably how I looked at the thing. I looked at IRL play first, so IRL play groups things differently too. In
Yeah,
which
but there's like three different. It would be in Giratina. It would be in. Uh, well,
well,
actually, I think they group things. I don't know. I think that's in a bunch of decks still.
basically, I think it was just in. It's there's not a lot of Giratina, Lost Tina, no. Basically, what they do for IRL events, the Lost Zone decks are all lumped together. It was
Well,
one
there's two
category.
different. Did you check the box?
I
There's a
didn't
box
check
that
the
says.
look. I didn't want to check the box. I actually preferred,
Well,
which
I
I
feel like
could
you like
look. I
changed the
don't.
data then.
Well, no, the data can be sorted either way. Look, Limitless
Yeah.
classifies IRL and online differently. You know that they're not
I do.
exactly the
I do.
same.
It's
So,
a bit of a mess at times.
in the way you can sort it and deal with it is different. The other source, which I don't think either of us looked at, which would have been good for this, is Trainer Hill.
Well, Trainer Hill's kind of like what I did. It's
It is,
Trainer
but
Hill is looking at the same data set as. Well, actually, does it? I don't know exactly what it does. I think it's the same data set that I looked at. Essentially, I think it's online stuff.
I mean that's useful too. You could use that with this discussion too. But anyway, so what we're saying. So yeah, I mean, I agree that Comfy doesn't make it. I think looking at what you said though, the difference between the weighted and the unweighted, you didn't mention the numbers, but like I said, Greninja, and Manaphy there's a big gap between what falls next after that. The other thing that's impressive is Radiant Greninja, only one of in a deck by definition. Manaphy, when you look at the numbers between the weighted and unweighted, it's essentially a one of in the decks.
Yeah.
The number is the same, and it's near the top for the weighted, and you have to go all the way down a lot of places before you get anything else that doesn't see multiple copies played that's high up on that list. So they're just played a lot. Those two cards, I will say.
Yeah. Um,
But
but
do you want to start picking what the
uh,
10 are, and then we can start ranking them?
well, no, because now we need to go to, because really, what a good card wins, right? A good card wins.
What are we going to do, head-to-head matchups now?
No, well, no, because you agree, a card is good based on how much it wins, kind of.
Oh, winner. Oh,
So
you have more data. Yes, sorry. So
I do have more data.
tell me what this last piece of data is.
This last list is cards with the highest win rate. I did lop off, so it needs to have played at least 100 matches. It says games on my spreadsheet here. It's actually matches, so a best of 3 won't count. It's around 200 cards, which is actually not that many. It
Okay.
chops off. What's it chop off here? I think it chops off between Dodrio. Like Dodrio makes the list.
Okay.
And
Who's
like
my
here's
boy?
our
But
yeah,
he's
this
not
is
making the top 10.
no, and most of these aren't very the ones that didn't make it weren't very good. There's a few weird outliers. The weirdest of them being Wigglytuff EX played in one deck, which the person played 0 games. I don't really know what was going on there, how they managed to not play any games.
Yeah.
I guess they just didn't show up or
Or they
whatever.
got to buy the
Um,
first round, I guess, right?
Maybe I'm not really sure what happened, to be honest. But anyways, so
But the
looking at this.
Wigglytuff doesn't make sense because that was played in control decks, right?
No, but that was like last format more, and it's not even played that much. I
Oh,
think,
okay.
yeah. But anyway, so we got a top 10. I have removed pre-evolutions. Oh, I removed pre-evolutions from the other list. I didn't say that. There was Ralts on the other list.
Yes.
And Dreepy, I think, as well. So those were kind. They're not like maybe they're like fine. They're just pre-evolutions. They don't really matter. For like good cards.
I mean, Curlia does, right? And if it was
Curlia does.
the
Yeah.
Drakeloak, right? That because of its ability could, if it was played enough, that could potentially have made the list
Yeah.
from my perspective.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to count this one down from 10 to 1, right? I think this is a pretty interesting list here.
Okay.
So number 10, we got Spiritomb. Spiritomb from what's it? Paldea Evolve. Spiritomb has its ability here, and it says Pokemon
Fettered Misfortune is the name.
Yep, and basic Pokemon V and play have no abilities. Interesting counter card. And by the way, I had to the win rates. Spiritomb is that's not the win rate. 52% win rate. So that's not like that high. 52.3.
Okay.
And then by the way, there's one other Pokemon above 52. That's Screamtail. Screamtail's from Temporal Forces. Yeah, not the Gardevoir one. The other Screamtail. So that's a little weird. And the highest win rate is 62, but that's really niche. But the highest on this list that's not a pre-evolution is 60% win rate.
Okay.
So then we have Giratina V-Star, making it the 9th best card and the most highest win rate in the game, which is really good. Good card. Not on your list.
No, and we'll have to talk about that. Okay, so Giratina V. Yeah, no, that's an impressive stat. I give credit towards Giratina V-Star for that.
And then number 8 here is Chiyu EX, a mill card. Well, it does a few things, but it's a mill card. It discards 2 cards from the top of your opponent's deck for 1 fire energy, and it has a second attack and stuff. But yep, classic.
Yeah, for control,
card.
Which is going to become, I think, a theme we're going to see.
Yeah, because number 7 here we got Sandshrew. That one is a pre-evolution, but it's played for what it is. Sandshrew, Sand Screen ability. Trainer cards in your opponent's discard pile can't be put into their deck by an effect of your opponent's item or supporter cards, with a win rate of 53% and played in 1,200 games here. So that's a bunch. Played by a few hundred people there. And then
let me just say, the Sandshrew a weird one because I've played it a little bit, grab net decking, and it's weird of when you should use it, not because its ability's odd when what it impacts and what it doesn't.
Yeah, it stops. You're looking at Palpad, Silene. Sometimes so that your opponent can still recover energy in Pokemon.
Right,
Rod.
Rod.
Here. No, what?
Yeah, Rod that goes into your deck, right? It stops going into your deck, right?
No, but it stops trainer
Oh,
cards
not
from
items. Okay,
being
that's where I
recovered.
get
Yeah.
yeah.
No,
So
I'll train what?
wait, well, Rod puts it from items are supported. Okay, yeah, it doesn't stop. And yeah, sorry, it doesn't stop Pokemon or energies.
Yeah, it's only stops trainers being recovered. Um, the Pokestop will not be stopped by this. It doesn't stop stadiums. And then
Yeah,
it will stop. You're looking at Palpad, Team Yellow's Cheer, Silene sometimes, usually, and stuff like that. I'm sure there's some things I'm forgetting, but this
yeah,
is interesting. It's the tech for either control mirrors or against cards that are control counters. It's a counter. So
yeah.
um, a counter. I
And,
don't know.
and it's only used by some people, and those that are playing it are those that know what they're doing with it, probably, which is why the win rate's higher.
Yeah, just like this card, your favorite card in the game. This isn't your
Okay.
favorite. You like it? It's Gouging Fire EX.
I do like that. I do like it, and I would not put it on any top list. So how come this didn't make your top 10 then?
Well, I don't know. I don't like it. You like it. You're the one who likes
It
it.
does look. It
So,
does 260 on a basic Pokemon that potentially you can power up in one turn. So that's tremendous, right? And then you
yep.
can attach a tool, and you're one shotting whatever you want, basically. Well, not Charizard EX, but you can one shot it. You can get to 280 anyway. That's the number that you can get to that number.
Yep.
Okay.
And then we got Weirder V as the next Pokemon. Weirder V, it's played in Lugia V Star.
Yep.
Lugia V Star, very good deck right now. Pretty good there. And then we
Well,
have
Weirder's played in a little bit of other things too. Well, those weird energy acceleration decks that are out there, right? There's some different ones.
I guess I'm gonna take a quick look. So you can play in Dialga, some played in Gardevoir, and that's it. Oh yes, Arceus, but that was a long time ago.
Okay.
So yep, it's mostly Lugia. And then we have what is it? Number 4. Is that where we're at? Number
I
4,
don't know.
iconic card, Drapion V.
And you sure you didn't get the format wrong? Because Mew's
I know,
not
no, there is
around.
no Mew VMAX on this list. Drapion V, it is played in Lugia. I think it's like kind of like Gardevoir. I don't know. I've never seen anyone play Drapion V post rotation, but apparently it's still good. It's even better. Maybe you could put in, yeah, I guess Lugia.
Right, because the wild style ability, the attack cost is 4 colorless. It's 1 colorless less for each single rapid or fusion strike Pokemon to play, but they're all gone. So you're paying 4 energy for it. So yeah,
But and I was like, is it played by like only a few people? Because the top card in this list,
yeah,
it is a pre-evolution, but it's only played by 24 people. But no, this has been played. It's been played in 400 games, played by just under 100 people.
okay,
So it's played or 100 played in 100 tournaments. So it could be the same person, but it's not the same person playing in 90 tournaments. So it does see play. Then we got number 3. The number 3 best card in the game is
mm-hmm.
Hawlucha. Hawlucha here from Scarlet and Violet, the one played in uh a number of decks. It's played in
What's using? Because I've used it a little bit, and honestly, even decks that kind of wanted the damage on it, like the what was the fighting ability lock one, especially when it first
King Louis X.
Tinglu, like when because that came out at first, and then there were a lot of V's around, and you shut those down. It had some value, but even then, it was kind of underwhelming to
Yeah.
me.
Well, now it's really good with Dragapult. It allows you to like knock out 70 HP Pokemon.
Ah,
So
okay,
that's really nice. And
yeah,
that's I think the main use. You could put it in like Lost Zone. I've seen in that. You could put it in Tinglu as well, but I don't think that was here.
okay.
And then number 2, this is a card that's really good, and that's Snorlax. At a
Everybody's favorite,
54%. Yeah, or 55 percent
the,
win
the
rate.
block Snorlax, right? Not the
Yes.
one, not the unfazed fat one.
No. The block Snorlax, if it's in the active, your opponent's active can't retreat. And then we got the number 1 best card, which is Milotic, of course. Milotic from Twilight Master Grade. I misspelled it. It's that good. Oh wait, how do I spell this?
Wait, which Milotic is this one? Let me just double check.
Oh, I don't own it. Never mind. There we go. I got it. I was like, where is this card? Milotic with Mentally Calm. I don't own. I was like, why isn't it showing up? I guess I'll craft
Okay,
one. Its ability, Mentally Calm. Your opponent can't play your opponent's Pokemon and play, and all cards attached can't be put into your opponent's hand. this one isn't played as much. Snorlax is played a lot.
Hmm.
It's not played the most, but it's played a bunch. Milotic is not played that much. It's only played by like 20 people or so, maybe a
Okay.
little less.
Yeah.
Um, but its win rate's 60%. Like it's good. It's there as a counter to scoop up cards, Professor
Yeah.
Cher's scenario, and maybe Penny. And it's good. I guess I didn't play it. I haven't played it, but I mean I don't own it, but now I own it.
I
But the
might have
number one
played
card,
it. I own 4 copies. Well, I own two of 2 different of the basic and 2 of the Rev Hollows. I might have. I don't know if I just pulled it or not. Obviously, control. A lot of it is your opponent scooping up. They also usually they get something down that they don't want, or you get something down, and then Professor Turo scenario it out of play, right? So this obviously can win games. I can see its value.
yeah. I will say with the win rate, I did take out ties. However, in regular play, there aren't ties.
Yeah,
And in fact, regular play, those ties would probably actually be wins for Snorlax because that means that they're in a position where the game is
it's just
kind of at
it's dragging on.
yeah, dragging on. Your opponent can't do anything though, and your deck is infinite. So you will those would be wins in regular play. So if anything, the win rate's actually underestimated here for control. Control is still really good. And then it's actually not the number one card. The number one card is actually Feebas from Silver Tempest. So
And how was that?
yeah.
Just played a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's yeah. I've played a few less times than the Milotic. Apparently, there's some other Milotic that's not the right one. So I play Feebas from Silver Tempest, with a 62% win rate or 62.6% win rate. The best card in the game is Feebas from Silver Tempest.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know that. I'll have to. I do have 4 copies. I don't think. What does it evolve into? By
Into
the way.
Milotic, the one we were
Oh,
just
my
talking about.
Lodic. Okay, sorry. So I do.
Yeah.
I do have a full play set of that. So okay.
I think if I sort by, I want to take a quick look at all the cards to see if there's anything with a super high win rate. I think there's a few with some like higher win rates, which I just want to pull up, but they're played like essentially not at all. Like my Ludix actually played some. Some of you think I've never seen this card. I mean, I've never seen it. I've never seen it on ladder. I don't think, but so the highest win
Yeah.
rate, well, when sorting, the highest win rate's Wigglytuff with a win rate of I don't know. It's 0 wins and 0 losses.
Okay.
Oh, maybe it just had a tie. Maybe it was one game and the game was a tie. That could be it. But then the highest win rate is there's a bunch with 66% win rate with Flittle from Scarlet and Violet, number 102,
Okay.
which is not the main Flittle. So
I,
yeah,
all right. Well, we
that's
need
fine.
to get back onto our topic here because we got some work to figure out a top 10, right? The definitive top 10, which is what we'll produce at the
Yeah.
end, right? So look, I think based on the win rates, it's super important. It shows unfortunately control is much too good. Look, control's
Yeah, and so
fine.
now I want to talk about Snorlax because
Okay.
this is as I said, or as you said earlier, I grinded to like Arceus in maybe like 5 hours or so,
Yeah.
from essentially the bottom of Master Ball, or was it Master League, and I did it,
Yeah.
and usually I don't do that. I won maybe probably somewhere between 80 and 90% of my games. I think I lost less than five on my way to Arceus, and I'm like not that good. I'm like okay, and
Yeah.
certainly, and so I played Snorlax. Snorlax isn't that like free or anything. It's not like every game was a free game. I got
No.
I think two like instant concedes, and then a couple of games where my opponent well, it was one game my opponent started slow playing, but I think they're actually in the advantageous position. But then I think they timed out. I don't remember. It was weird. It was a very strange game. And then I had one game where I think my opponent could have won and they ended up conceding, but most of the time they were games that were like full games,
Okay.
um, where they like quit if they were gonna deck out eventually.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean it worked really well. I won almost all my games,
Hmm.
and I was like focused somewhat, but I was working on some stuff in the background as well. So yeah, it was really good, and like I didn't get tilted. I'm sure my opponents did, but
Yes.
sometimes, and I'm just because in the past I've tried to like grind to Arceus quickly. It usually takes me like a week or two from master, and this is with the newer ladder, which is easier to get up to Arceus. Before it was like
Hmm.
almost impossible. Now you can literally just win half your games and you'll get there. That was technically true before with like variants, like could technically push you over the edge and win streak stuff. But anyway, now yeah, you just win half your games, you'll eventually get there. But yeah, I got there really quickly, which is like, and it like couldn't have just been like a fluke. Like as I won. How many games is it? Do you know?
I think let's see. You need to get I think 600 points, so you need at least you need 20 wins. I think without a loss if you're at the bottom of what is it Master League to get to Arceus.
Okay, so I went and I played. I think I played one game with my other control deck. I will say Snorlax is a not super hard deck to play, compared to like Pidgeot control, which is partially why I have Pidgeot EX on this list.
Hmm.
So I am experienced with Pidgeot control, which also is I think a less toxic deck. Snorlax is really not fun to play against.
Yeah.
Um, that's not like my opponents were like throwing the game or anything. They were playing decently well, but um, I'll say the best card in the game is actually accompanying flute. So, well, okay, my low deck and picnic basket's technically the best card in the game, but like, who's out here
Uh,
playing picnic basket? So accompanying flute, highest, most best card in the game, played over 1,000 times. So Snorlax played over 1,000. My low deck's
yeah.
not. But accompanying flute, it's a really good Snorlax card. Or it's yeah, mostly just for Snorlax and yeah, so I was just able to, I played. I think I played generally pretty well. I certainly made mistakes, and
Hmm.
it's certainly not perfect or anything like that. But I was able to just play at like my normal level, and I just cruised through the ladder.
Yeah, I mean, now look, I don't have an issue with control. I don't like the fact that Snorlax is so easy to play and it's so strong. I just think I don't like. I think Pokemon's printed too many things or the wrong set of things at this point to make this deck and that card in particular. I probably should have printed Snorlax, but
Yeah, it's not good.
because we'll both play Snorlax for sure, and we both certainly respect control. Snorlax is a little, it shouldn't be.
Yeah, I don't play Snorlax that much. You make lots of videos on. Oh,
I
I've made
do.
videos on Snorlax, but I usually don't play it. I probably won't play it again this month. Or wait, when's the? I thought the ladder reset
Yeah, I think it's
resets
once
in
a
the
month.
beginning of the month, but
It
it's
used
not
to,
the
but
beginning of
now
the
I
month.
think because they also try to kind of sync it up with the battle pass resets, so it gets weird. Sometimes it's not consistent. I think it was like the first of the month for a while, and they shifted it. I'm not sure. So I think we have 4 weeks now. Because one of the things you could put together a Snorlax deck, hand it to a pretty inexperienced player, and they will win a lot of games with it. And that's what I don't like about Snorlax. It's probably
Yeah. I mean, I feel like
it's the easiest deck you can give someone that's okay but not great and produce the highest win rate. I think.
maybe it's so different than a right. Well, what do you mean? Okay, like I guess, but you need to understand the strategy of the deck. Like it's hard
Some
to understand the strategy when just looking at it if you're like a truly new player. And
you're
you also need to know what your opponents has.
no, you're correct,
What
but you could just sit down with Snorlax and just figure out I'm going to chuck out this item and this supporter to the best of my ability, and you're going to hit enough things that unfortunately you're going to win a decent amount of games. I will,
maybe I think it
but
has like a slightly higher skill, like pure skill floor than other decks. Like you
maybe.
could play Charizard EX. Or, I don't know. It's not even that's not the easiest deck in the game. Um,
Look. I'm not saying it's a
there are
skillless
easier decks.
card at all, and certainly to play any deck well is not easy. Even the simplest deck, whatever that we could
Oh,
decide it
Dialga.
is.
Dialga V-Star is pretty easy. I don't like
Well,
Dialga
it's
V-Star.
it's in if it sets up right, it's not consistent because
Well,
I
even
like
if it doesn't set
Dialga.
up, it's even easier because you just
You
lose.
just lose. I guess. No, it's not. It's you're wrong. But there's still look. I like Dialga. You don't like it that much, it appears. But like
No, I
when to
don't
use
like.
the Star Cronus attack and when not is not always simple, right? There's
No,
times you
but
could
usually
take
you
it
just
and
use it when you get it, because
but if you can not do a one shot with it, when do you do it or not? Because you find yourself in those spots too. Or if I'm only
that's
gonna
true. But if you only have one decision to make during the game, that's hard. That's not that many.
you make a little more than that. And look,
You do, you do, you definitely do.
and it does give you the opportunity. You can memorize in order all the bottom of your deck as you play your Matangs, right? Because it gives you probably more deck knowledge than any other deck in the game potentially, right? And
Yeah,
that's high level
perfect
play.
when you whip out digging duo.
Ex-
We talked about that. Was that last episode?
I think we did. Yes,
That's, yeah,
we harshed on that. So
yeah.
look,
You did. I
yeah,
did too.
yeah. No, look, Snorlax. Okay, I think that probably makes the list. It wasn't on my list because I didn't want to be toxic, but okay. So
Yeah.
let's can we kind of figure out what cards are in the running for the top 10 and then start
Yeah,
to
so I
shape
have
the
a
list?
28 cards here. I'm in PTCG Live. These are all the cards I think on the list. Outside of Feebas, I just remove Feebas. So
Okay.
I think Drapion V is not on the list. I would cut that one.
No, Drapion
Um,
V is not. My Lodic's not on the list. I don't know if you put it there or not, but
it is. Yeah, I
I,
guess Hawlucha is not on the list.
no.
Yeah, or Sandshrew.
No, I think of the win rate ones, Giratina V Star certainly is consideration. Snorlax, I think. I'm not
That's
sure.
it. So we're essentially ignoring the win rate.
Well, what else was
Uh,
there? All the others were like these weird control techs, weren't they?
yeah. Well, there's
What else was there that you
Mjolnir
want?
V,
Yeah, that doesn't
Gouging
make
Fire
it.
EX,
That look, I love that. It doesn't make the
Chiyu
list.
EX. Chiyu EX isn't that
Which
good.
one? What?
Chiyu,
Oh no, that doesn't belong either.
and then Spiritomb.
Yeah, no, none of those deserve. You can't make an argument for any of those, can you?
No, no.
Which is weird because now we're saying win rate doesn't matter, and you're right, and that's kind of horrible.
Yeah. There are a few other cards here that there are a few pre-evolutions. There is Feebas, I said. There's Pidgey from Obsidian Flames. That is played in control, but it's played in
Okay.
not control. And then there's Charmander, it's the promo. That was kind of weird. It's not played a lot.
Okay.
I mean, it's played some, but it's just a I don't know. It's a weird card. So that's not making the list. So I have Raging Bolt EX. I don't think it's making the list. I think we agree on that.
Yeah.
I think. So this is such a weird list. So
All right. You want to start naming
um,
cards because I don't have the same. I'm not looking at the exact same list as you.
so we got. So wait, what is your list? So I'm assuming you have all your cards,
I
right?
have your cards and my cards, but I don't have all these other cards we named.
Okay. So you don't have UEX. How many cards are in your deck right now?
I have
16?
16. Look, MUEX could
Okay. So UEX and Monkey Dory and Comfy are the other three cards. I'm pretty
to
sure.
me, Comfy doesn't make it. I think we're agreed on that, right? It's too
Yeah.
niche.
I think Monkey Dory doesn't make it. It doesn't like do that much.
It's a very interesting card. And I love it for that. Like for me, for like rogue deck building cards, it's on the top 10 for that probably.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
it's not. I think
but
it's like close, but I don't think it's making it.
yeah, I think it falls off. To me, I put it in the 11th spot. So you want to leave off Monkey Dory? You want to put MUEX as a possible? Because that
Yeah, I guess so.
or not.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think so.
Okay, it's versatile. So I have 17 Pokemon at this point. Is that where you're at
Yeah,
too?
yeah, I do. So I think Snorlax has to make it, and Radiant Greninja has to make it. Oh, I went to add a second Radiant Greninja to my deck to mark that, but I can't do
Okay.
that. So
Yeah, so that's fine. What I'd like to do is start to eliminate too, more so, I got to say.
yeah, I know. I don't. I
But
guess we can cut. We can lop off
unless you want to put,
Gardevoir EX and
unless do you want to
Fluttermane.
put Radiant Greninja at the top spot? You don't.
I probably can. I
Or
don't
do
know. Let's take a look
okay,
at these. I
so
think Blood Moon Ursaluna EX needs to make it. I think we both agree on that. It's really good.
yes, it is. It's
a
a big
colorless
attacker. It goes in. It's obviously splashable and everything.
Yeah. I think Gardevoir EX doesn't make it. I think you definitely don't want Gardevoir EX to
Are you
make
okay
it,
with
but
that? Not making it?
yeah, I think it's like okay, but it doesn't have the partners like it has had in the past formats. It's very good. I agree with the best deck in the game, but
It is.
can't
So
take great of the edge acceleration. So
okay, look, it's good. It's no disrespect to God of War. It's just not flexible enough to me. So it doesn't make this
yeah, I
this
think
list.
Fluttermane can't make it. It's like a counter.
Yeah,
It's not very good. It doesn't. It just kind of sits there.
I mean
It's not that bad, but it's carried by other cards.
it is. I mean, it's the what? The 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the sixth most played. It's played in the sixth most decks, and it's tenth. And it's 10th in terms of overall play. So those are very impressive stats. You know what I'm saying?
But yeah,
It's in
but
top
that
10
doesn't
for
mean it's
plays, both in terms of individual plays.
good.
So you want to cut it. So
Yeah, well, it's just like some card that kind of goes in. But
all right.
it's
So
not like
everybody's
good.
wrong about what they think is good. Okay, that's
No,
fine.
it's not. No, it's not. It's good. It's good. It's not like would I rather if I'm sitting there, I got my Dragapult EX and you got your Fluttermane, I'd take Dragapult EX there.
Well,
Um,
yeah, but now you've also like got your Drakeloaks played down and all that probably at this point.
That's
So
true.
where's the Fluttermane? I
Um,
just chuck it in the active. So
yeah,
okay,
we can leave it.
no,
But
we
you
can we
wanna
can cut
I wanna-
Fluttermane. That's fine. It wasn't gonna be on my
Um,
list at first, so let's cut that out. What about Iron Bundle? Because that to me was one that I
um,
wasn't expecting. Do you think that
yeah, I
belongs?
think we can cut that one out. It's kind of niche. It's kind of weird. It's again, it's not like that meaningful and all. I mean, as I said, these are all good cards, but It's not that meaningful for these cards, I feel like.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Fion from the theme deck, which of course makes me like it more too.
Yeah, yeah. Fion, cool card. Iron Bundle, um, fun Pokemon. It's kind of weird. But yeah, so I think Grass Ogrepon shouldn't make it. I don't think Grass Ogrepon, the Teal Mask Ogrepon EX, I should say, is
Mm.
good. I think it's kind of bad. I think
It's
it's
probably your third favorite Teal Mask. I
yeah,
mean
that's what I was gonna
Ogrepon
say.
EX, right?
I think it's the third best Ogrepon. Um,
It's the most
so
universal though. Well, that's not necessarily true either.
that's
But
no, I say that's actually less universal than the fighting one or the water one. Um,
all right, I mean it's played a it's it's got decent
I think it's
versatility, but
yeah. Well, it's mostly just played in Raging Bolt. It's Raging Bolt's so highly played. It's starting to fall off. Or it is in the process of falling off, but
yeah, and it's
falling
a
down.
Regidrago too, right? It's the
It's played in
primary
Raging Draco.
it's the
Yes.
primary build of Regidrago right now.
Yeah, but it's not like Raging Draco, Raging Bolt. They're not like the best decks in the game or anything like that.
All right, so you're hating on my list. That's what you're doing. So all right.
I'm hating on your list. You're hating on my list. So I think we can get rid of MUEX as well. I don't think either of us really want that. It's like good, but
I mean, it's versatile, right? Let's see, we're at 14 Pokemon here. Let's think. See, the problem is,
14.
on my list I have 14. At least that's what I have on my
What's
screen.
near the end of the
Oh
list?
no,
Do you
13,
have
I guess.
Fluttermane?
No, I have 13. Sorry, I forgot to get
Wait,
rid of.
doesn't it give you the number?
I have 13. Yeah, I forgot to delete the Teal Mask Ogrepon.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I have 13. See, the thing is, you're cutting off all the cards that weren't on your list. So let's pause.
And it's working perfectly.
I know. So what else? What do we cut? So we have 3 cards to cut. Mew. I don't know if I want Giratina V Star on the list. Let's see.
Oh man, I
Greninja.
think
You don't like
MUEX
Manaphy on
wasn't
the
on your
list.
list either.
What's that?
MUEX wasn't on your list either.
All right, we'll cut Mew EX then. That's true.
Okay. Um, and then we have we could cut Giratina to restart, I guess. I don't know. I mean, Giratina is really good. I think
All right, well, let's
it's
just go
just a
through.
weird list.
So we have to have Radiant Greninja. I'm not
Mhm.
sure about Manaphy. We have to have
I
Iron.
think we should have Manaphy. I think we should have Manaphy.
Okay, and we have to have Iron Hands EX, right?
Yep.
And we're keeping Lumineon V, or no?
Yeah, I guess.
You didn't have him on
I
your
think
list though,
so.
right?
I didn't, but it's a good card. It's a good card.
Okay, Blood Moon Ursa Luna has to stay, I think, right?
Yeah.
And now Dragapult, I guess, is he a given?
Yeah, yeah. We both have it. I mean,
Okay, and Rotom V. Now you didn't have Rotom V.
let's probably keep Rotom V. I think that's fine. That's good.
Okay, Charizard EX. You want to keep him?
Yeah, I think I want to keep Charizard or Giratina. Maybe cut one of those. They're both really good attackers.
Okay, they're different. All right, let's
I
pause.
think we can no. Let's get rid of Charizard. Charizard's not that good right now. I think
Okay,
it's
I mean, I'd rather keep Charizard
really
than
good.
Giratina myself because of versatility. But
Should we get rid of both of them? I
I mean,
think
the
we get
thing is,
rid of both of them.
you want to, and then keep
Yeah.
Pidgeot and
But isn't Giratina more versatile than Charizard?
well, it depends. I still think Charizard can work in other things.
Yeah, but those are like kind of Charizard decks. They're not exact. Anyway, so let's
Well,
go with Charizard and Giratina, and I think that's our list. I think
and
that's
then that's
good.
10, and then we just have to rank them.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have our
I mean,
10.
Charizard's good. It's at the top of my list, but realistically, like in this current meta, it's not that good. Or it's okay.
Look, it will rise up again, I think, but we never know. But it is a very good card with what it
Yeah.
does. The problem is it starts too slow, right? That's the downside to it.
Yeah. I guess I think so I think Dragapult EX is the worst card in this list.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Um, and I'm trying to reorder them in live. Oh,
You can't really do that, right?
I can't. I removed it and then added it back and then added it to the same spot, which is not like in any order. It's just the order that I added in. But
Right. You
lovely.
have to, yeah. Which is also, yeah, it's not. I mean, well, it's not designed for putting together lists. So I mean, ordered list, right? Which is it's
I
fine.
don't know if it's designed for putting together any lists.
Well, it should. Well, yeah. I mean, it should be ordered somehow, right? But it's just ordered. I guess it's ordered kind of randomly, or the way you put it in. So
Yeah, which is just anyway. So I think Dragapult's the worst. I think Rotom
mhm.
V is probably the second worst. It's like good. It's kind of weird, but
Okay, it wasn't on your list. I had it as 10th, so I think that's fine.
yeah. And then I think uh I don't know how I feel about. I think what do you think next?
It's really tough. Or do you want to start? like I wasn't going to put Squawkabilly EX on the list. And I like decks that can I like those turbo decks some, but
Yeah, we can do Squawkabilly next. So actually, I think let's do Rotom V at 8 and Squawkabilly at 9.
okay, you want Rotom V. Okay,
Yeah,
you like Rotom V
it's-
decks more.
yeah. I think Squawkabilly EX and Rotom V between those two, that's like a lot of that's like multiple types of decks.
Yeah.
And turbo decks are you can argue between those two.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. Oh, I think no, I didn't misspell it. Let's go.
All right. Yeah. Well, look, is Radiant Greninja going to be number one? Do you think?
Uh,
If we know the number one, let's.
no.
You don't. What do
I
you?
I think
Let's argue number one because the middle gets harder to me.
mhm. So I think it's between three cards. I think it could be Radiant Greninja.
Mm-hmm.
It could be Blood Mirror Luna EX.
Yep, I can see that.
Really
That's
close.
very good.
It could
Yep.
be Snorlax.
Okay, so I'm surprised you didn't say Iron Hands EX because in some ways that's
I don't think
better
Iron Hands is
than.
that good. It's okay. It's like it's solid, but
Okay.
I think Iron Hands. Let's put Iron Hands at 4. I think is fine. Wait,
Okay.
do you think Lumineon V is better than Iron Hands? I don't think
It,
it's better than Iron Hands.
it depends. I like Lumineon V more, but I find Iron Hands just lets me down. But that
Yeah.
doesn't mean. But when it works, it's tremendous. So
Yeah.
Iron
So let's
Hands.
do so then Lumineon V at wait.
Uh,
What about Manaphy? Actually, I don't know. We
well,
don't know
Manaphy will
about
be
Manaphy.
7, right? You don't love Manaphy, right?
Manaphy will be 7, and then Pidgeot EX will be 6, and Lumineon V will be 5.
Yeah. Pidgeot EX
Okay.
5 and Lumineon
Wait,
V.
what?
I mean, Pidgeot EX is 6, Lumineon V is at 5, right?
Yep.
So we have Radiant Greninja. We have Bloodwind Ursaluna, which is obviously the big attacker here. And then we've got, what's the other one? Oh, Snorlax.
Um,
I mean, of them, the one that has a deck named after it is Snorlax, right?
yes.
And
And if you're looking at win rate, Snorlax is really good. So
yes.
I think Snorlax is 3. I think you think Snorlax is 3 as well. And
Yeah.
then it's Radiant Greninja, Blood Mirror Luna EX, Snorlax.
So, okay, Radiant Greninja number 1.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't think Blood Moon or Saloon is number 1 to me.
Yeah, okay. Do you think it should be switched to Snorlax? Should Snorlax be 2?
I'm fine with either. Whichever way
Okay,
you
yeah, I
want to do
say
it.
Blood Mirror Luna EX at a 2 here.
Okay, Snorlax is 3.
Yep.
Okay, so this is the definitive top 10 Pokemon in standard format in the middle of Twilight Masquerade.
Yep. Near the end, because wait, what?
We have
Oh
another
no.
month or
Yeah, I guess in the
something?
middle. Yeah, because Shrouded Fable is like different, but and that's in a month. So
Right.
yeah, and I'll read out the list. We got number 1, Radiant Greninja. Number
Yep.
2, Blood Mirror Luna EX. Number 3, Snorlax. Number 4, Iron Hands EX. Number 5, Lumineon V. Number 6, Pidgeot EX. Number 7, Manaphy. Number 8, Rotom V. Number 9, Squawkabilly EX. I forgot the EX. And number 10, Dragapult EX. So what we learned, multi-prizers are good, but you don't need to be a multi-prizer.
Yeah.
Stage 2s are solid. Stage 1s are not. I don't think we talked about any stage 1s outside of maybe Curlia. And
Right.
Milotic. And
That's
then
yeah.
and Snorlax is a broken card.
Yeah, Snorlax is unfortunately broken, and yeah, stage 1s just aren't the place to be. Unfortunately, I'm a big. I have a soft spot for stage 1s, but it is a struggle to get them going. Too slow
Yeah.
and not strong enough. All to say all in one. So there we have it. Yeah, I mean we're at the point where in Twilight Masquerade the meta has certainly been defined. We've had a lot of tournaments online and IRL. IRL tournaments I think are done basically. Worlds is the next big IRL tournament, which is not. And
If you're looking
obviously,
at major IRL tournaments, like the
yeah,
regionals and above, then there's only one in this format, which is kind of weird. But
it is.
I
And
mean, I don't pay
now,
that much attention to IRL. Well, that's not exactly true. There's the Japanese tournaments.
right.
The Japanese tournaments, it's a weird thing. They're slightly different formats, but it's not like complete. It's pretty similar. Well, okay, it's ahead, but there was a Japanese tournament. Let me actually take a look. Um, there was a tournament in the beginning of June, and that was essentially this format where we see like
Okay.
Raging Bull Ogre Pawn, for example, as a deck there.
Right. I mean, we're in a funny place now where the next big thing for competitive play is Worlds, but that's a small set of players. That's not most players. So you have a small set of
And there's a literal small set as well with Twilight, with no, with Shrouded Fable / Night Wanderer.
right. It's a special
More or less.
set part of it, and what 1,000 some players that are playing. So most Pokemon players aren't trying to solve that format. Where, but if you're going to Worlds, you don't care. That's all you care about now. So it's kind of it's kind of bifurcated. Whereas the majority of players where we are, we're in the middle of Twilight Masquerade for like another month. So that's what we're still trying to develop decks within the in the context of, and obviously we're primarily casual players. So on the latter, that's what we're going to be seeing, and hopefully after hearing your results with Snorlax Stall, we don't see too much of that in the future.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a video about Snorlax. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I look forward to that. I'm hoping that video does not do very well. Is all I will say. But I've made my fair share, and then some of Snorlax decks. So it's it is what it is. So, all right. Anything else as we wrap up here?
No, I think that's about it. Check out our YouTube channels, youtube.com/@10types and youtube.com/@uncommonfossil with a 1M.
Exactly.
And if you ever forget that, it's in your logo, right?
Yeah, and it should be available on your favorite podcast player. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can take a look for it there. And if you're on a podcast player, check us out on YouTube. If you want to leave us comments, that do it on the YouTube videos. If you leave something on a podcast player, even if you can, we're not going to see it most likely. So
yeah, I don't know how to see it. I mean, you run the podcast stuff, but the podcasting
right.
podcast player stuff, but even you don't see comments. It doesn't let you see that, right?
No, I don't really see comments. And the way it is, I think I'd have to log into all these different podcast things, and I'm just not doing that at this point anyway.
Yeah. But anyway, so and if you want to leave a comment on one for one of us specifically to read, probably leave it on that person's channel.
Yep.
Although I mean, if you ask for the other person, we're certainly in communication. But we hope you enjoyed the podcast, and tell us if you have any podcast suggestions. But we hope you enjoyed, and we're excited to see you in the next episode.
All right, take care.